All around the water tanks, waiting for a train.
The Nashville Council formed in March 1920. A year later, the chair of its camping committee, Leslie G. Boxwell, began work on finding a location for the council's summer camp. Box was the general manager of the Tennessee Metal Culvert Company and a leading member of the Tennessee Good Roads Association, both of which were critical to building roads in the state. Boxwell spent the first half of 1921 working on a scout camp. He hired a cook, Walter Whitaker, from Vanderbilt University, and searched out several locations. Finally, he found a spot in a little community known as Linton.
Linton was found along the Harding Road, what today is Highway 100. Specifically, the camp was located on a mere 4 acres along the South Harpeth River. The property wasn't owned by the Scouts, but was loaned to the council by Samuel S. Morton and his wife, Allie. Named for Leslie G. Boxwell because of his work in securing the camp, the first Camp Boxwell opened on July 5, 1921.
When you imagine the Linton Boxwell, it is important to not think of this place too much like a modern summer camp. It was more like a camporee that went on all summer. There were similarities to modern Boxwell, of course. Flag raising and lowering, swimming and waterfront activities, 3 meals a day, campfires and taps. And of course, advancement. However, there were several really important differences. First, Scouts usually came to camp individually, not as troops. If a scout was in Nashville, he would meet at the intersection of Harding Road and Belmead Boulevard, where the streetcar system ended. Here, a truck from Box's Culvert Company would drop off 1 week's boys and then pick up another. Occasionally, Box drove the truck himself.
Next, advancement was handled in Scout School. There were no specific scheduled classes. Whatever merit badges or early rank skills a scout needed were offered. The Scout School was run by volunteer scoutmasters who came in for a week or two, perhaps the majority of the summer, to teach whatever was needed. There were not paid staff and there was no youth staff. Further, Scout School only lasted about 2 hours in the morning. Instruction lasted from 9 to 11 and then advancement was done.
What was done with the rest of the time? Recreation and activity. This was part of the prevailing idea of the time. Keep a boy active and you keep him out of trouble. Instead, keep him engaged in group activities that teach team building and how to build partnerships.
So, with this concept in mind, Scouts went swimming first thing in the morning, then morning calisthenics, which might include a run around the property, then breakfast, Scout School, and another swim before lunch. After lunch, a little downtime for letter writing, reading, or napping, and then the afternoon was all activity. This could be hikes or bird watching, but it was usually big group competitions. Baseball, horseshoes, tennis matches. Yes, they built a tennis court. Track events and swimming and canoeing races. It was an incredible frenzy of activity, daily.
In the evenings after dinner were nightly campfires. Some of these were instructional, where local men came and spoke about the world. Other nights were for skits and special skills, even boxing. Each night had something, and camp ran Monday to Monday. Sunday morning also included church services.
There was one other aspect that is really crucial to note. The boys ran this Boxwell. Every week the tents, big 8-man tents, elected a tent leader and a councilman. The tent leader led the tent through daily inspections and made sure everyone made it to meals and Scout School.
There were also camp-wide elected posts, a postmaster, a dining hall director, a lost and found man, and a scribe. The postmaster handled the mail. The dining hall director chose which table got to eat at mealtime. The lost and found man kept track of all the equipment, and the scribe wrote about it all and sent it to the local papers, the Nashville Banner and the Nashville Tennessean. All of these individuals made up a camp council that made the rules of the camp. They also judged those who violated the rules of the camp. For instance, a standing rule was no talking after taps. If you were caught talking after taps,
and there was always someone that first night,
you had to pay the price the next day. This usually involved spending the afternoon in the guardhouse,
the grove of beech trees where the council met in the morning.
while everyone else played.
And there were rewards, too. At the last campfire of the week, the Scouts held yet another election, where they gave out superlatives. Best all-around Scout, most advancement, best liked. All of this was geared toward teaching citizenship. Scouts governed the camp through elections, and they governed themselves through advancements and behavior. William J. Anderson was the Council Scout executive, but he was also the Linton Camp director. This is how Anderson described this system.
Camp Boxwell is really a training school where Scout tests are passed and Scout ideals instilled by voluntary Scout leaders of our city. Those men who are giving freely of their time and talent to develop your boy into a strong and manly man. All of the hiking, the games, and swimming are wholesome, healthful recreation. All this, however, is but a means to the end of character and development.
All of this was for a pretty small group of Scouts. Starting with about 60 boys a week, by the end of its run, Linton held about 80 Scouts a week. It ran for at least 6 weeks, but the standing rule was that camp would remain open as long as it could meet its quota of Scouts.
And how much did this scouting experience cost? Less than $5 a week.